everyone for coming. To honor my husband, Tom Kelly. For those of you who don't know me, I'm Crystal Kelly. I'm Tom's wife of 35 years. I can barely remember a time where I didn't know Tom. I met him when I was 13 years old, the same age as our eldest grandchild. And we started dating when I was 17. I spoke with him every day for the next 40 years. Some of you are old friends, and if you were around back in the day, you'd remember that if there was a piano, Tom would find it in whichever house or venue we were in, and he'd likely be playing Traffic's Low Spark. If there wasn't a piano, Tom always had a harmonica or several with him. There was music wherever he went. Before we were, wow, it's windy. Before we were Grandma and Papa, Mom and Dad, or the Kellys, we were Tom and Crystal. Our friendship that grew into lifelong love and the creation of a family began on a piano bench for a piano that once belonged to his grandmother. We'd sit and ignore everyone around us while I successfully taught him classical songs, and he unsuccessfully tried to teach me improvisational blues. That piano has been in each home we've owned since our marriage 35 years ago. We started our children's musical education early with me waddling up to the piano with my giant pregnant belly and Tom playing for our children before they were even born. There are photos of him playing piano with them on his lap as newborns. My son would say, "Play the Dragon song, Daddy." The Dragon song was Charlie Daniels' "South's Gonna Do It Again." He would play, and our beautiful little ones would dance. Our family, built on music, was typical only in the sense that we had two children, a boy and a girl. But we were unique. We took our children to see Prince, yes, without Wakeman, and then a year later with Wakeman because it was Rick Wakeman, and ZZ Top, and more. Our family loved to laugh, and we took our children to comedy clubs and to see our favorite comedians when they came to town. The family we built is his legacy. Tom lives on through these children, honoring their father and grandfather with music and poetry today. He lives on in the love he has for us and the love we have for him, a love that never dies. Another part of Tom's legacy lives on through his work with the League of Minnesota Cities, a job he loved. He once told me if somebody else offered him $1 million a year, he would never leave. He loved that job mostly because he loved the people who worked there.
Dan Greenswag. Tom and I worked together at the League of Minnesota Cities for the last 7 years. What a privilege it was to get to know him and work with him, and most importantly, to be his friend. You know, I'll tell a story that I think probably sounds familiar to a lot of people here. Not too long after Tom started working at the League, a bunch of us at a conference went out to dinner at the end of the day. And any of you who ever went to a restaurant with Tom probably have a pretty good idea of what happened next. The waiter came over, and first it was, "Hey, how do you make your Bloody Marys? Are they spicy? What kind of garnishes do you use?" The Bloody Mary came and he really liked it. He said, this Bloody is great. He said, it's even better than this really good one I had back in 2014. It's not quite as good as this one I had in 2009, but this is a really good Bloody Mary. Okay, we all thought, we didn't know Tom that well. We thought, boy, he sure is passionate about his Bloody Marys. Then it came time to order dinner, right? And Tom had questions about the menu. He had a lot of questions about the menu. The waiter ended up describing most of the dishes, the ingredients they used, which were the waiter's personal favorites. And finally, one of our colleagues, Laura Honig, said, for Pete's sake, this is like going out to dinner with my grandmother. We all had a pretty good laugh about that, Tom most of all. And when the dinner finally arrived, sure enough, Tom looked at my plate and said, darn it, I knew I should have ordered that. Well, I've got a lot of sympathy for Tom that way, because I'm the same way. I get menu regret. And he and I would sometimes at lunch or dinner end up trading food back and forth just to make each other feel better about our decisions. But don't be mistaken. Tom wasn't uncertain or indecisive when it came to the important things. His wife, Crystal, his children, Amber and Christian, his grandchildren. There was never any doubt in his mind, or the mind of anyone who knew him for more than 5 minutes, how Tom felt about them. He talked about him constantly, he bragged about him, he told stories about him, and whatever he did, he lit up. When he did, you could see what love looks like. And you can see the same thing now when they talk about him. Tom filled his home with love, and that's the greatest gift any person can give. That's not all he did or cared about, of course. Those of us who worked with him at the League knew that from his first day on the job. He was hired to help implement a major system redesign, which he did with great success. It wasn't just successful because he was a smart, talented guy, even though he was all those things. It was successful because he cared about the League and he cared about the people he worked with. When Tom cared about something, he wanted to learn about it. What does it do? What makes it work? Why does it matter? And most important, how can I make it better? If you want to make things better, if you want to learn, you have to ask questions. And Tom never shied away from doing that, whether it was about an item on a menu or a sophisticated claims management system. He spent a day at the Capitol with our legislative team just because he wanted to learn how things worked over there. Tom's real gift, though, is that when he asked questions, he listened to the answers. He thought about them, he figured out how to work them into his solutions. And the solutions he found were to meaningful questions. The work Tom did mattered. It helped develop new ways to think about public safety services. It helped launch initiatives to keep city employees safer. Through his work in partnership with the National League of Cities, he helped communities all over the state and all over the country better understand the challenges and opportunities in front of them. That impact was clear when word got out about what had happened. People from Oregon, North Carolina, Texas, Washington, D.C., all over the country called to express their shock and their grief, but also their love for Tom. Because really, when people think of Tom, they think of love. How could you not? What a dear, sweet, kind, thoughtful man. He loved his family, his friends, his colleagues, and we loved him back. We still do. We miss you, buddy.